Okay, in this video, I want to create a column chart with an actual versus target plot so you can get an idea of how close you are to your perhaps monthly or quarterly sales targets. So we have a data set here. Contraptions Galore is the name of the place selling various products like widgets, gizmos, doohickeys, thingamabobs, and whatchamacallits. They do have a target that they would like to sell. We'll assume this is weekly sales perhaps, and they have actual numbers of sales. So let's go ahead and start by plotting this data. There's one of two ways you can do it. If you're plotting a column chart, you can actually select, if your data is set up this way, the product, target, and actual, where the labels are on the left, and just go to Insert Column, and I'm just going to pick the clustered column. You could do that to begin with. You could also start out by scratch by clicking on a cell that does not have any text or anything in it for that matter and creating the chart manually. So go to Insert Column Clustered. You'll start out with a blank canvas, right click, select data, and now we can add our various series and our horizontal axis label. So our first series in this chart will be the target, followed by, after taking out the parenthesis 1, the numbers 100, 100, 75, 75, and 50. Okay. Second series will be actual, followed by the actual values. Okay. Next, instead of displaying a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, what we want to do is actually hit the edit bar and select the different products. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit OK. Okay, so now what we want to do is we essentially want to stack these columns. What we actually want to do is overlay. So I'm going to right click and go to Format Data Series. And when we see the options here, we do have an option to overlap, which means we're going to merge the red on top of blue, if you will. So let's go ahead and slide that to the right. Now, what I would recommend is actually consider the blue your target. So it's kind of like a thermometer. As the volume of sales rises, we want this red portion to go up, up, up until it hits the target and perhaps bypasses the target. So what I would do is, if you right click on the blue and go to Format Data Series, you will see options for the overlap. Go ahead and put that on 100. Put the fill on a solid color with white. Let's change the border color, which is the part outside, to a solid color, and I'm going to make it this first red here. Border styles, we can actually control the thickness. I'm going to go to a thickness of 2, and that's about it for those options. We can also modify the actual red to get it the same red. It's just slightly off by clicking it while we still have this data series menu open. If we didn't have that, we can always simply close that and right click and go to Format Data Series. We get the same options. They are 100% overlapped. The fill, I want it to be solid, but I want to pick my color as the exact same red as what we're seeing here. Border color would need to also be the same red, so go ahead and select that. We can also make it the very same 2-point width, and that's about it for that. There's several things we can do. We can give our chart a title. I'm going to put it above chart, and you can actually format this text box. I'm going to say this is Contraptions Galore, and hit enter and say that this is the sales performance by product. You might want to leave this as bold. Perhaps you want to italicize this part, take the bold off, and perhaps even decrease the size of the text. That's all fine. You might also want to remove the axis and perhaps the numbers all together. And if we create the data labels, we can put those outside. Notice that these data labels are for the actual values. Let's go ahead and right click on those and go to Format Data Labels, and let's put them on the inside base. And we can do some extra formatting if we choose. I'm just going to bold these labels, and it's already selected. If it's not, just select on any one of them, and I'm going to use the bold effect. We might also want labels on the target, so let's go to data labels outside. We can also bold those, and if you want to give it a slightly different text font, maybe a little gray would be nice, that would be fine. Another thing you can do is you can change this text on the labels if you didn't want this angular text. One option would be to right click, Format Axis, Alignment, and this will give you a text direction. So let's say maybe we want straight up and down. Maybe we want it maybe back to horizontal. You're not seeing all of the labels because there's just not enough room. You could also basically change the size of the windows here. Maybe you don't want this legend here, so let's give the plot a little bit more room to plot, and we'll put the legend at the very bottom, which I think is nice. You can actually stretch this and it'll become a legend with just a single row, and of course you can change the size a little bit and maneuver the windows here to where the graph looks a little bit better. If you want to increase the size of both the contraptions galore and the sales, as long as the box is selected, you'll see 11 plus. The plus indicates that there is text in the box, but it's actually at least one different text size. So if we click the first one, it's 18, and then the bottom is 11. So you're basically shown the minimum text. But I'm going to go ahead and increase this too. So now the top is 24, the bottom is 14. So that concludes our example of creating a target chart, if you will, based on actual sales and the target.